So, spawning up in the top left-hand position as the red Protoss player representing my insanity, it is Stardust. And his opponent down in the bottom right, the blue Zerg, representing Vega Squadron, Firecake. Firecake, Stardust had a little interesting thing. So first, anyone just joining us now, this is the ESL Pro Series. Oh, no, sorry, the ESL Euro Series, take that back. And it's My Insanity versus Vega Squadron. Currently, My Insanity is 2-0 up out of the best of 3 so far. Jack G and Dana able to take those first 2 series, leaving only Stardust to make it a 3-0. It's a best of 5 across the series, and basically, if Stardust can win this, he wins for My Insanity, and they'll be very happy about that. Now, Deadless Point with a Protoss player. Vetoes were allowed, right? But Stardust was just like... Firecake asked him in the chat channel, "Hey Stardust, which map do you want?" Vetoed. Stardust was just like, "Any map, no veto." Confirmed Balls of Steel, basically from Stardust right now, because Deadless Point, for those of you who don't know, is in possession of the largest ramp that you have ever seen in your life. Look at the size of that. Triple Nexus wall off, maybe? Who knows? But for the moment, Stardust is saying, well, I should probably gateway expand. If Stardust had actually gone for some form of Forge Fast expansion, I think that's when I could no longer actually take this game seriously. And, well, I'm glad he didn't, because it would be crazy. Firecake, on the other hand, is a player which most of you will know because of his game against Mana in WCS Challenger and the final series, or the final season of 2013. You remember that because of Akalon Waste and the fact that he played a 3-hour plus game against Mana with Swarm Hosts, Corruptor, and Vipers going up against Manas like Mass Tempest, Colossus Army, and it was crazy. Penguin and myself nearly died of exhaustion, but it was good. Now, Cybercore coming down to create a bit of a wall off here. Stardust moving his probe down, and at some point, it's going to have occurred to Stardust that he is going to need to take this base. Then he's got to try and work out how to defend it. And that may not be as easy as he would hope. Perhaps wishing that he had vetoed a map. Maybe just this one. However, Stardust has been confirmed as legendary good, and therefore may be able to make it work. I really hope he can, because then, of course, this cast goes up on Reddit, and everyone's like, oh my god, so good. Anyway, for the moment, we do just see that, well, Stardust able to lose a probe, doesn't get much scouting information, isn't attempting to expand yet, instead opting for an early Stargate. This Overlord just gonna kind of creep around the edge, gonna try and see if anything is coming down. A Stalker is there, completing the wall off of the natural, and it looks like Stardust's gonna be going for a 1-base play. Worth noting as well that this map has some awesome stuff on it. Dead Ultralisks, a couple of dead Zerglings around, big warning beacon. There's some other stuff around here too. It's quite a cool map. If I keep a quick little peek, there's some cool stuff like this, and there's something else somewhere, but I can't remember where it is. Oh yeah, obviously, it's in your base. You have like these cool things, like giant Zerg lava. I think, no, that's an Infestor. On the other side there isn't one. Anyway, Oracle coming out. This is all looking good as we're waiting to see exactly what's happening. Stardust has taken an expansion on Deadless Point. This is big news. This is huge news, like that huge ramp that's going to make it hard to defend. You can kind of defend it through here. It's not impossible, but it's hard. Really hard. Firecake chucking down some Spore Crawlers, aware that a Stargate is there because an Overlord is right next to it. The Oracle, now for Stardust, going to be coming across the map. Probably won't manage to achieve any damage because of the fact these Spore Crawlers are down. Of course, an Oracle beaks a Queen, so it takes 2 Queens to be there. And yeah, all looking fairly good at the moment for Firecake. Stardust could be in some problems, but don't rule Stardust out yet because his natural base is nearly completed. He's got a Phoenix. He's gonna boosting out another one, just going for a bit more aggression. This Oracle is getting a couple of kills already. Nice control, runs away. And the best thing about Oracles, since they've had the speed boost, is they can be in and out nice and quick, nice and easy. So, for the moment, Oracle just gonna be pulling back. Gonna take a little peek around, see if there's any third. Won't quite see the third coming in yet. Of course, just flying over the nice little lab bot. That looks really cool. And yeah, Oracle just going to be trying to keep a good eye. Sees the creep split coming down. Can assume the third's going to be taken fairly soon. Stardust adding on a couple more gateways of his own for the moment. Does have Warp Gate tech down. His Stargate still producing Phoenix. He's gone up to 3 currently. Can force back Overlords with that. Can potentially get some lifts on the Queens. Meaning if there aren't Spore Crawlers around, actually that Oracle can have quite the party. But well, everything is going fairly good at the moment because Firecake looking safe. Stardust secured up 2 bases. He's killed a couple of workers. Firecake quite low on the drone count currently, only at 40, which isn't really what you want. Other than that, of course, Stardust is also pretty low on his worker count just because his natural base was quite late, but his tech's looking quite good. He's getting up that robotic facility. The Phoenix still poking and prodding around. Currently, Stardust has only lost that 1 probe that he scouted with very early on, so got to keep a quick little eye on what else is going to be here. But yeah, I'd say at the moment this is looking fairly positive, and Overlord is going to get taken down, and these are the sort of little wins that Stardust is going to be looking for and trying to achieve. So, as we see now, in come a couple of lings. They're just going to get a little bit of scouting information. Stardust going for the massively long wall off these 2 pylons, and this stalker means the only way for anything to get through is through their Photon Overcharge can help defend that. Stardust with his robotic facility nearly done. Meanwhile, we see Firecake going up to lair. These Phoenix actually doing a good job of harassing at this 3rd base, picking off a good number of workers. Firecake's drone count now pretty damn low, and that means that actually Stardust racking up 10 worker kills, looking pretty solid. He's also going to go and take a 3rd base, which is even more open and harder to defend. This is like the anti-Protoss map, I swear. But that means the force field's going to be tough, etc. And chokes going to be more difficult to achieve, but for the moment all looking good. Firecake, oh god no. Oh god no, Firecake getting an infestation pit. Please don't make Swarm Host Firecake, please. Please don't. Stardust, don't let him get up to lots of Swarm Hosts, okay? You must have heard about that mana game. You must know what happens. Just please don't let it happen. I'm solo casting. Anyway, a couple more drones get taken down. These Phoenix doing an ace job, just picking apart everything. Of course, +1 missile attack does seem to be suggesting we may be seeing some of those Swarm Hosts. 4th base getting taken. Unfortunately, those Phoenix not quite able to lift that quite in time, but definitely could have looked to have done so. And oh god, no. There's Swarm Hosts. At least it's not Akelon Waste. It's not as bad as it could have been. Stardust busy just getting down his 1st Colossus. Also a Forge to start some upgrades. His 3rd base looking... Oh, I'm going to put 2 cannons probably in here just to make sure that it's all looking good. Able to just keep it all down. Has Stardust actually trapped that probe in there? That poor probe. Not fun times. Phoenix still poking around, prodding. They've managed to rack up 16 worker kills so far, which is actually very impressive, because that means that obviously the worker count pretty much equal. Very nicely done. Stardust did actually get that probe out. Oh, he only built 1 cannon there and just pushed it out. Okay. All good. Meanwhile, Voidways are on the way. Stardust has seen the infestation bit, so he may know what's coming. Going for a little bit of Zealot harassment coming in here. Not going to be able to kill anything. Going to see those Swarm Hosts in a moment if they don't burrow up in time. They are burrowed up, but of course you can see the Locusts getting spawned. Queen's unfortunately getting lifted. Not really what you want, but with the Locusts coming in, the Zealots are forced to retreat. So, Firecake now, busy getting down his hive. Going to be going up into Viper Tech. Obviously getting some good abducts into Locust is always a good way to go. Also his Spire, so he's got some Corruptors available. Also very helpful in dealing with kind of the stuff Protoss players are going to be getting out, such as Colossi, such as Tempest and Voidways and things like that. It's all good. The Corruptors themselves aren't very good against the Voidways, but with some Vipers to abduct the Voidways in small bite-sized chunks, actually that's when the trades can occur and can go well. So for the moment, mass gateways coming down. Stardust continuing the longest wall off in StarCraft 2 history. It's the Great Wall of Stardust. That's what this should be called. Anytime I see a Protoss player play, I'm going to refer to the Great Wall of Stardust. And it is a beautiful Wall of Stardust. If he just continues it around here, it would make me very happy. Just how far it goes. For the moment though, we are seeing just the creep getting pushed back. It has gone a long way over. Still though, only 75 workers down at the moment for Firecake, so he's not getting hugely high. He is putting down a couple of Spore Crawlers though to make sure that everything is safe from any harassment. The Swarm Host count only sitting at 4 currently. 4 more are on the way, but 4 Swarm Hosts aren't actually that terrifying. Observer is not with the army though. The Oracle is not with the army, so there's no detection there either. So I'll be interested to see how Stardust intends to deal with the swarm hosts. Perhaps realizing that now, moving back, does have a warp prism in production, but still no observer. Now, a couple of roaches have come in, but they get boxed in by warping zealots. Beautiful warp in there, coming down. So, all in all, this is pretty awesome. Stardust building up a solid army. Greatest fire coming down from Firecake, so he is going to be going into Broodlords. Broodlord Swarm Host is, of course, the way you make all the free units. Get some Infestors down too. You can get some Infested Terrans because, hell, why not? And then you've got pretty much everything free you could ever hope for. And then you just start trading resources for energy day after day, and you're always going to be happy with that. So, this is all being seen by Firecake. He knows that the upgrades are coming. He knows things are going relatively steady. Also, up to a much more effective number of swarm hosts, 11 down on the field, and that's where you can start running into some problems. Stardust still poking and prodding around the map, trying to find anywhere that he can to actually deal a bit of damage. Gonna lose that warp prism, unfortunately, with some damage, but he has run in with another warp prism to the other side, mass zealot warp in, as well as those two sentries. Force fielding off the ramp. While there are a lot of spine crawlers, the hive could be in problems. This is a lot of zealots. Another big warping coming through. A few more sentries will be needed just to keep it going. Where are the corruptors? They're on their way back now, but this main base could get ransacked. We need to see Stardust keeping up those force fields though, and that is precisely what he's doing. A few roaches pop out. That's probably going to force this all to stop. Another force field is needed on the ramp, and that's what we're seeing now. The hive safe, those roaches popping out really helping. Unfortunately though, with the warp prism now dead, it's going to be hard for Stardust to really continue on with this. He's keeping a lot of attention there. Nice play by Firecake, pulling the roaches towards the queens, allowing the transfuses to go down. But still, Stardust in a bit of problems because he doesn't have any more energy and more roaches have just popped out. But he's definitely kept the attention of Firecake for a long time. And what has Stardust been able to do doing that? Well, his fourth base has got up. He's sitting in a much more comfortable spot economically. He's up at 71 workers to just 60 odd. That has increased now, but Stardust coming up towards the fourth base. This is a beautiful play. Those swarm hosts unable to get into the position they need. The fourth hatchery gonna be taken down. Insta-play by Stardust there, who does have enough energy for a mass recall if needed, but just backs away for the moment, trying to get out of range. Does not want to lose a Colossus to Locust, does unfortunately lose a Sentry, which isn't great either, but one Sentry for a hatchery, I consider that a good trade. Unfortunately, Broodlords are coming in now. Broodlord, Queen, Swarm Host is like a ridiculously epic army coming down from Firecake. It is the Zerg Death Ball. A couple of Vipers and maybe a few Infestors in there would really add into the mix, but the Infestors aren't hugely needed at the moment because Stardust isn't going mass Sky Toss. If we started seeing a whole ton of Sky Toss, that's actually where we would get a couple of Infestors. The reason for that is because Sky Toss clumps up and you need those fungal growths to deal with it effectively. Over at Stardust side, he's also getting down the Templar Archives. Storm pretty much essential to dealing with a lot of Locusts. Also, can pop Queens. Popping Queens is really good fun, I can assure you. Probably the best thing you could ever do with a single High Templar. Maybe other things, maybe popping an Infestor is more fun, I don't know, but I'd say popping Queens is pretty cool and not done as often. So, Stardust going for the Fleet Beacon, adding on the additional 2 Stargates, lots of Voidways. Tempest should be coming out soon too. Tempest destroy Broodlords. It's painful how effective they are. Another warping coming down. Stardust gonna try and take out that spawning pool. Unfortunately, the Broodlords may have something to say about that, as the Zealots will pretty much melt to those. So the spawning pool will stay up, gets put on pretty low health, but it's all looking good. Stardust though continuing on this pressure, a couple of Zealots warping in to the 4th base. Quick reactions from Firecake though will push that back. Overseer gets taken out by a Voidway. Tempest production not yet started. Stardust is currently maxed, so he's just going to start building up a bank, trying to get in a position ready to deal more damage. Phoenix are going for the Vipers at the moment. Vipers are armored, so they don't take that much damage from Phoenix. But losing those is alright. Stardust can afford to lose them at this stage. He needs to free up supply for some Tempest against those Broodlords. Stardust singing on 4 bases. Meanwhile, Firecake on 4 bases. And I'm about to show the stat that everyone's wondering about. Resources lost. Very equal. Firecake actually losing more at the moment, which is incredible to be honest, because even though Firecake's being super passive, Stardust is able to still trade well. So Stardust's going to look to go and take that 5th base. He is maxed out. He needs to start working out how is he going to engage this force. And this force consists of 11 Swarm Hosts, 6 Broodlords, 4 Vipers, and a handful of Roaches. The Roaches we'll probably see start getting thinned out, getting sacrificed as efficiently as possible. That'll allow for some more Corruptors to come through, which will just be very helpful. Maybe some Infestors as well. Storm is on its way down, but Stardust starting to push forward. The wall of static defense is coming out at the moment. Is there enough here? Well, the Broodlords are going to be very helpful. That much I can assure you of. The Tempest will aid in taking those down. One thing I'm not seeing, unless I'm being... Okay, there we go. There are some Spore Crawlers in there. I was concerned for a moment that we weren't going to be getting any, and then suddenly an Observer could sit in there and grant vision for the Tempest to start chipping away at anything. Lots of cannons coming down from Stardust as well. This is kind of keeping him a bit safer from any kind of run-bys or things like that, because he needs these bases up for as long as possible. Upgrades are currently sitting at 3-0 for Stardust, up against 3-0 for Firecake. So equal upgrades on both sides, neither wanting to bother getting any carapace for the moment. Incredibly, Stardust actually getting better trades, even though this army of 3 units still up. He's also got a good revelation coming down with that Oracle, so sees everything that's there. 5th base forced to cancel by Firecake, and this is where Deadless Point isn't such a good map for Swarm Hosts Broodlords play that we saw Firecake use against Mana as Acheron Wastes. The reason for that is because it's a lot wider. There's a lot more attack paths. You can't zone out basically the entire map with one position of Swarm Hosts. If the Swarm Hosts come up here to try and defend the 5th base, well, that's when Stardust pushes down here. Colossus just walk up here, take down the natural base and laugh. They can also probably carry on them, because then you can get into a good position here, walk up, take out the main, and recall out. If the Swarm Hosts stay down here with all the static defense, well, then that basically means the 5th can't come up, because Stardust can just pick away at it so much. So, yeah, Stardust doing good at the moment, is able to keep up his 5th base, is coming over now with a couple of High Templar. Going to go for a Storm Drop. Spine Crawlers are coming down all around this natural. There's not many drones there at the moment, so not too scary. The War Prison as well, probably going to take quite a bit of damage if it does try to move in. 5th base is coming down once more from Firecake, so he's just attempting to get his economy going well. Stardust's economy, though, is absolutely incredible. Sitting at 4,000, 3,000 minerals and gas. And that's really where you want to be sitting at. It works insanely well, because Stardust has been maxed out for so long. He's just not trading. He doesn't want to trade. A trade results in him losing more, most likely head-on, because of the fact that there are so many free units. But he is going for it now, as he's in quite a nice position, but Infestors there get a good fungal growth. Chain Fungal will be problematic. Vipers unable to get any Abducts down at the moment. The Tempest sitting back. Simultaneously, though, Firecake sending some units across the map. Only Locust, though, so they're not actually going to make it the entire way over. Firecake lost about 10 supply. So does Stardust, so pretty similar. But Stardust just getting a few more High Templar out. A couple more Storms. Very strong. Just able to clear out the first wave of Locust very quickly. And if you can deal with that first wave of Locust fast, that's actually where you may be able to just keep rolling over your opponent. So, where does this leave us? Stardust has to wait for the right opportunity to go in. He's getting every upgrade possible. He's getting his ground armor upgrades, his shield upgrades. Shield upgrades getting prioritized because they benefit air units as well. But ground carapace will come out soon too. Overall, supplies very similar, but you can see that Firecake's spending a lot more money in terms of his army. His army has a greater worth, and that's not actually something you often see in a PvZ matchup. Usually the Protoss player has more. Nice Abducts come down there. One Tempest gets vaporized. Of course, these Corruptors need to keep the Tempest down low. The Colossus count is also going to start falling. Stardust moving forward, but there's a lot of Infestors here. The Fungal Growth could be very good. The Broodlords starting to get some nice damage. The Corruptors need to make sure that the Broodlords stay safe. More Abducts coming down, picking apart this army of Stardust, who is getting more Tempest out as quickly as possible. Fungal Growth are coming down chain upon chain now. If these can keep up, it will be problematic for the My Insanity player, but Stalker's now coming straight underneath the Broodlords, going to start trying to focus them down. The Voidway's going for it too. The Corruptors count though very high. The Voidway's melting before your very eyes, but Firecake losing more too. A couple of Storms are going to go down, but Then Locust now tearing through everything. Stardust going for it, trying to trade as quickly as possible. But Firecake is just on top of everything, able to basically melt this army. But Stardust's bank is still so high. Is he going to be able to get out enough quickly enough though? Because Firecake still has really a lot of supply in army, and that means that we could potentially see, well, a little push across the map. So, Zealot's just busy trying to tear out this 5th base. Firecake's bank slowly starting to climb higher, whereas Stardust's is starting to diminish, and it probably will all be spent if he remaxes anytime soon. There is a lot of gateways. That is a huge number of warp gates, 19 of them on the field, so Stardust can resupply pretty fast. War Prism depositing a couple of Stalkers down in the natural base. They're going to start working away at the static defense, just trying to pick away at anything they can. Nice little fungal growth there. Chain Fungals will come down, allowing all of these Stalkers to get taken down. But well, Stardust needs to have a much better trade than he did last time. That's more what you'd expect to see when a Zerg player has built up this Broodlord Swarm host force, losing about 10,000 less resources than that of Stardust so far. Stardust needs to find a solution to this, and to be honest, I know it sounds a bit pessimistic, but having seen this strategy employed a couple of times across players, the strategy to defeat this Zerg play is don't let them get it. It's so hard to trade. Stardust though has got a solid army. It's just smaller than that of Firecake's. And Firecake's with those free units, he's constantly trading energy or free units for resources, and that's always so good. Vipers get a couple of nice abducts there. The Corruptors trying to focus down the Tempests as quickly as possible. Infested Terrans are dealing as fast as possible. And now in goes those Tempests. A bit more damage is being done. Archons and Zealots attempting to snipe down this top right-hand base. If they can get it, it's a nice expansion from Firecake, whereas Stardust taking his 6th. But unfortunately, the other problem is that these Broodlords have torn through Stardust's army, and he's down to only 39 army supply compared to the 150 all but 1 that is currently sitting there for Firecake. Firecake's trading is still looking very solid. Now, about 15,000 resources more lost. So that is a massive discrepancy, and this is where it's so problematic for Stardust. He hasn't even dealt with static defense yet. He hasn't picked away that much of the army, and his bank diminishing. This luckily won't be a 3-hour game, regardless of which way it goes, most likely, because there just isn't enough bases for that to happen. But we are seeing Firecake being very aggressive with those Vipers and Corruptors, picking out the Tempest, very expensive units, remember. And that's causing Stardust some problems. He's still got a decent income. He's got this 6th base up. Could potentially look to try and take a 7th base as well, although that would be very hard to take with the positioning of Firecake's army. But if Firecake is able to take this 7th, and he positions his Broodlords around here, he can siege up the natural while stopping things come through. And that is what is so hard. So, in we go now, with these Archons, with these High Templar, and well, the Mass Changeling army as well apparently making its way forward. But my concern for Stardust is really, what does he do now? Yes, he's getting a mothership. My god, I haven't seen a mothership since Mana versus Firecake. And, well, this means that he can cloak all of his stuff, obviously, which is helpful. But the Overseer count sitting up at 8, most of it with the army, so that isn't going to be too much help. No Vortex anymore like Wings of Liberty, so you can't even suck up half of this army. And unfortunately for Stardust, I just don't see what else actually Stardust can do at the moment. It's incredibly annoying as a caster looking at a situation, trying to work out what you can do. There's just so much static defense around. 29 Spine Crawlers, 29 Spore Crawlers. He's still got those 11 Swarm Hosts, 11 Infestors and 8 Broodlords, and that giant like air killing force, which is the Vipers and the Corruptors. A couple of good abducts and everything dies. That's the problem. So, we are seeing the siege now begin, and this is really the concern that I had. The Broodlords are able to pick off these fringe expansions, and if the Voidways or any of the air units try and get over there, there aren't any Voidways, only these Tempests. The Tempests try and get over. The Vipers will just dart in and go for a chain of dung into the Corruptors, one at a time. Firecake also getting the double air upgrades down. not too fun, but this is very challenging for Stardust. I like the fact that he's going for this drop play. He's going to be able to deny the 5th base once more, but Firecake's bank is still so high. Firecake isn't really losing army supply at any time because he's got those 3 units coming through. So, all going good at the moment. Just trying to see what's happening. I like the fact that someone in Twitch chat just said that Firecake is the goodie of Zerg. I would agree with that. Massively so. Unfortunately for Firecake, or unfortunately for Stardust, Firecake is in a very strong position here. Stardust gas incredibly low. He needs to keep this base up for as long as he can. Doesn't really have the option of trying to take this 7th because the fact creep spreads over there. Wouldn't be surprised to see Firecake attempt to secure it up soon. Is able to snipe off the 5th. So without that 5th base, it's going to be a little bit annoying. But, well, Mothership is down. Of course, this Mothership has the option to mass recall, to time warp, but also cloaks. Whether that helps, we've got to wait and see. Probably won't, just due to the number of overseers available to Firecake, but a very, very frustrating situation for Stardust. He can slowly start moving forward. Mass Tempest, if they can stay in range, may be able to work. They'll definitely take out the Broodlords exceptionally fast, but a couple of good abducts, and that's going to be devastating for Stardust. Stardust as well is fairly low in terms of his gas, as I've mentioned previously. That means he can't really remax this army. That means that he's got to be so cautious with it. He has to be very, very careful. And, well, Stardust just easing forward. The Tempests are a very good way to deal with static defense. Their siege range incredibly helpful. You can see it goes all the way out to here. Locusts are still annoying. There aren't many things on the ground, just those High Templar. Some even being warped in aggressively to the 4th base here. Corruptors coming over though will take out that Warp Prism. And, well, as it all goes, with the Warp Prism down and the Queen's now tearing through these Zealots amazingly, it's, again, not going to do too much there. The Storm is going to go down on the Queens, unfortunately. With the Transfuses, that doesn't really do anything. But what does do something is Stardust pushing up at the top of the map, starting to take down those spines. And the damage, it's nice for the moment. The Tempest doing nicely from afar, starting to pick off a couple of odd units, but Stardust's bank is starting to look a bit more healthy. Still so low on gas though. That's the problem for Stardust. He needs to make sure that his bank stays up. He's got to take as cost-effective trades as he can. He's lost nearly 20,000 more resources than Firecake, and Firecake's bank is looking incredible. So, Stardust doesn't want to lose this game. That's basically where it stands now. That's why he's being so cautious. Unfortunately, it also means that we're probably not going to see a big engagement for a while because Firecake is also a very passive player in this situation. He knows that a bad engagement would likely cost him the game. So, both just easing through. I like the fact Stardust is still trying to go for some drops. One thing perhaps Stardust could try and do is positioning his army around here and go for a bit of damage on that base, but with that, there's always the concern that the Vipers go for a good abduct. The Vipers and Corruptors currently chilling around in the middle. They're still a very scary army. All Roaches have been whittled out of this army now, which is exactly what Firecake would want. Very supply ineffective in the late game. And to be honest, I just can't believe that I'm already 40 minutes into this game. And I remember back when I cast Firecake versus Mana in that 3-hour plus game, the Penguin and myself at 40 minutes were sitting there in this exact situation thinking, at worst, or maybe at best, this could go on for another 40 minutes. And how wrong we were. This can go on for a very long time, especially if Firecake doesn't do anything about it. But Firecake is completely aware that his best bet to win this game is to be patient. Is moving forward now. May go for a little bit of a move to get some damage done. Just backing out though, seeing those storms. Doesn't want to have a bad trade. That'd be bad for him. So just being very cautious. Stardust adding in 2 additional robotics facilities. Going to start some Colossus production most likely. The Tempest starting to chip away at these Locusts, but as you can see, Tempest is very ineffective against Locusts. Their slow firing speed isn't really effective dealing with them. Splash is the only thing to deal with Locust. Couple of good fungal growths go down. A few abducts gonna be added into the mix as well. Abducting into those 4 crawlers. And, well, more abducts going down. Mass recall being used by Stardust, but he's starting to lose a few more units. The Corruptors and Vipers still coming in. They're chasing down everything they can. Mass Tempest shots, though, come through. And unfortunately, this results in, for Firecake at least, all of those Tempests staying alive. Maybe Firecake was a bit greedy there, trying to get all 3 Tempests rather than 1. But still, just falls back for the moment. Still doing an okay job. We've got a couple more Corruptors being added into the mix. That's going to take the Corruptor count above 20, making it a lot more powerful. Meanwhile, Stardust sitting at 180 supplies, so he's got enough gas to get up a few more Colossi just to bring that up to 200. And he's still mining from this 6th base. Unfortunately for Stardust though, Firecake has now secured up his 6th. Yes, Stardust could take this out with some drops. There's only 1 spine though at the moment, and so coming from this angle could do some good damage. But the War Prism has just been consistently getting taken out by those Corruptors available to the Zerg player. So, at the moment, not too much else going on, just Locust trading with the Protoss army. Stardust won't want to engage anytime quickly, because if he does engage, that's where the real big problems are going to come. And it's going to be nigh on impossible for him to actually keep going like this. If we take a look at the resources lost, Stardust already lost 43,000 resources, 25,000 resources of Firecake. You can also see that actually it's not a very intense game. Only about 170 APM on each side. It would be a lot higher than that if the game was short, because they're not really doing too much left going on. Stardust has been able to get in there with some Zealots towards the 6th base of Firecake. And with those Zealots taking it out, it's a little bit frustrating, but Firecake doesn't really need that base. He don't retake it. He should be fairly happy, simply because of the fact that he's got obviously a big bank. Stardust moving in though, able to get behind that static defense. The Oracle unfortunately does die instantly after getting down, of course, that Revelation, just to reveal where all those units are. But yeah, this is good work by Stardust, able to take out these 2 bases. That's really the last mining bases that Firecake had available. But Firecake still has a good bank. Stardust choosing to go for it now, moving forward. Is Stardust going to be able to break through? The Tempest dealing some good damage. Feedback's going down on the Queen. Stardust actually trading very nicely here. He's pushing for the static defense starting to go down. Where are the Swarm Hosts? Well, the Swarm Hosts are still in play, but the Locusts have all been taken down. And, well, in we go now with Stardust crushing through this static defense. More Broodlords are being produced, but if Stardust can get over there in time, he can snipe those down. Of course, the Colossi taking some big hits. Massive storm goes down on those Broodlords. Needs to see another one. Great blinding clouds. Firecake trying to prevent Stardust from doing anything with those. Able to, at the moment, the Broodlords will, of course, now morph in. Once they finish morphing, all of their health comes back, so that storm suddenly negated. The Tempest going head-to-head with the Corruptors. The Stalkers trying to focus them down. If the Stalkers can take down the Corruptors, that's all that's needed. The Broodlords now going to take huge damage from those Tempests, and it seems that Stardust is actually doing fairly well here. Of course, Firecake spending all of his money trying to resupply. Corruptors coming in. The Broodlords ideally need to get focused down if it's all possible by Stardust, but he's not got enough Tempests for the moment. So, a whole host of gateway units getting warped through here. This is absolutely crazy. Stardust trading quite nicely. The Locusts are still there though. There's now 6 Swarm Hosts. Problematic. Yes, there's a whole ton of Lings coming in, but those Lings are 3-3 without Adrenal Glands, going up against 3-3-2 Zealots. The Stalkers still having to be careful. 1 Broodlord remains. But Stardust actually traded pretty well there. That was surprising, to say the least. He's now going in with Mass Zealots, since he does have so many minerals. This is really his best bet, trying to knock out some more of this static defense. The 3-3-2 Zealot's going to trade very well with static defense. They're so tanky and deal so much damage with charge too. Some Stalkers making their way forward. The problem is still the Locusts for Stardust, but if we see the Greater Spire get picked off, which is actually somewhere, there we go. It means no more Broodlords, no more Corruptors. Stardust doing a good job here, still pushing in with this heavy Zealot force. And he's just trying to take out Firecake's bases. Firecake has run out of money all of a sudden. Lots of that money gone into roaches for the moment, which isn't usually the best way to go. He's still got some Vipers out, but the corrupt account's sitting up at 12. Of course, Stardust though not looking to get any more air units out, just getting a whole host of Zealots pushing through. This is much Zealot. Very wow. I'm definitely amazed at what has been done here at the moment from Stardust. He's taking out the spawning pool. That means that's actually the second spawning pool, so there is still Zergling production. But Stardust doing an absolutely insanely good job at the moment. Seems to have broken it, and my brain doesn't understand how he did it. Firecake is in some serious problems, especially if this base goes down. He's lost his 5th. Stardust taking out the Roach Warren, or was about to take out the Roach Warren, now pulling back because he needs these Stalkers with this main force since there are a couple of Broodlords there. The Corruptors aren't really scary. The Swarm Host coming in. The Observer is with the army. If Stardust can actually get in and deal some good damage and take down those Swarm Hosts, that's really the last line. Good Blinding Clouds came into effect. Unfortunately, the Observer got taken down, and that isn't what Stardust would have wanted. But he's dealing some really good damage. The Swarm Host, though, still incredibly scary. The Broodlord will fall. Firecake, only 5 minerals remain. Meanwhile, Stardust also very low on money, but he's got this bottom base with just a few more minerals available at it. Crazy game now, all of a sudden becoming absolutely epic, and Stardust seems to be making this work. So, what is remaining? We need to put it on the unit stat, that's what's really important. 30 Zealots, 17 Stalkers up against 12 Corruptors and 1 Swarm Host. Stardust has done it. He's definitely done it. GG called. Stardust wins the game, game number 1, and he beats that Swarm Host, Corruptor, Broodlord, Queen, Infestor army. Wow.